They don't teach religion and not tell me about them Christ. Still trying to fool me, yeah. Move with no story. I am rebelling the morning, rebelling the evening. I am rebel long time, yeah. Fighting to be free, black liberty. Fighting for truth and right, yeah. I rebel in the morning, rebel in the evening. I am rebel long time, fighting to be free, yeah. Black liberty, yeah. Fighting for truth and right.
You just get this judgment in this time, yes, you got to know. Babylon system walking on thin line, them a poppy show. Still making fools, them not gonna survive. Craving for power, yes, is their demise. They're like the walls of Jericho. Tumble, tumble, and says they have to get a blow. Trouble, trouble, those hypocrites and parasites. Hey. Trouble, trouble, that says we're fighting for our rights, yeah.
One day, when the thunder roll, all the wicked in the Babylon will tumble down. And one day, when the trumpet sound, all the wrongs that you did will come back around.
I am rebel in the morning, rebel in the evening. I am rebel long time. Fighting to be free, yeah. Black liberty, yeah. Fighting for truth and rights.
Vengeance is mine, oh God, as we conquer the tyrants.
Because of their violent ways, they should go down in silence. Oh,
One day, when the thunder roll, all the wicked in the Babylon will tumble down. And one day, when the trumpet sound, all the wrongs that you did will come back around.
one day, when the thunder roll, all the wicked in the Babylon tumble down. One day, when the trumpet sound, all the wrongs that you did will come back around. I am rebel in the morning, rebel in the evening. I am rebel on time, fighting to be free, yeah. Black liberty, yeah. Fighting for truth and rights.
I am rebelling the morning, rebelling the evening. I am rebel outside, yeah. Fighting to be free, yeah. Black liberty. Fighting for truth and right, yeah.
Indeed. That's how you start the show. Talking about the freedom fight. Never give up that fight. Never give up that fight. And how do we end up with the resolve to continue in the Gideon? Well, with good roots reggae music, that's a start. And a strong heart, strong meditation, good foundation. Music like this that benefits the soul, fills your cup. Knowing what leaders to look up to, knowing what books to read, knowing what people in the community to turn to in hard times, because we will need them. No man stands alone. All of these things come together to build a community, to build a fortress. All of these things. Not one can be missing. For right now, we'd like to bless this space and put an intention with a special dedication towards Mr. Colin Kaepernick, towards his fight, towards his resiliency, that he can make the greatest comeback of all time in sports for someone like himself who would be brave enough to stand by taking a knee, to make a stand, to bring awareness to be an objection to the way things are and to try to write another narrative. So, in reflection, I ask, in what spaces in your life could you be used to write a new narrative? In what spaces in your life would it be powerful for you to take a stand? In what spaces and places in your life do you need the blessing of a little courage to be the one to say, it's not right? This is the way it should be, or this is the way the story really went. And be courageous enough to start to rewrite the story instead of just fall in line. With this, I bring you towards the smudging prayer. I ask that you are able to receive every word in the way that is most fit for your heart. And may you learn this prayer so that you can give this gift to others, to your children before they go out to school, for your loved one before they leave for work, for the elders. May your hands be cleansed, that they create beautiful things. May your feet be cleansed, that they might take you where you most need to be. May your heart be cleansed, that you might hear its messages clearly. May your throat be cleansed, that you might speak rightly when words are needed. May your eyes be cleansed, that you might see the signs and wonders of this world. And may this person and space be washed clean by the smoke of these fragrant plants. And may that same smoke carry our prayers spiraling to the heavens. Amen. Amen. Ashe. Samode be. Just yes. Yes to that. Yes to that. And I remind you that you are tuned into the inner space fortress, a place of solace, a safe place to reflect, to be honest, to be vulnerable, a place to focus on the haves, the HAVES, and that's healing, authenticity, vulnerability, existence, and simplicity, and not to focus on the have-nots, the things that we don't have. Our allegiance lies with the ancestors who have passed and transcended this plane, the ones that are here to still impart their wisdom and knowledge upon us, and the ancestors that are to come, the children, the spirits that are looking to be rebirthed into this realm, the warriors from old who are asking to come back in and tag team because the time is now. No part of this chain link should be broken. No part of this link is less valuable. This, if we can just remember, can heal so much and can move us forward with such speed. You know, being here at Roots Reggae Radio, we have a mission, we have a vision, and that's to spread positive vibrations to the entire world through the airwaves. And that can be done. That started with one man's vision. That started with a passion within the heart that grew. And here we are, an entire family, an entire conglomerate, an entire ship on the sea to be reckoned with as we navigate everything that comes our way. Some skilled sailors, some new sailors, and some along for the ride. And we see wonders as we travel these seas. But what we do know is that there is land. What we do know is that there is a destination. What we do know is that we are divinely guided. And it's within us, our intuition, that is our power. It's within us in the silent spaces, in the quiet moments, that we receive that voice that you call God to tell us where to go when the seas are raging, when it's night, when the stars are not clear and it's hard to use the things we rely on to navigate. We have an inner compass inside of our fortress, which is us, and we can access it at any time. These are the lessons we need to teach to ourselves and to the children so that they are resilient, just like the great ones we look up to who have fought and stood for very important things over time. People like Colin, an example for us in modern day times. These are the things we need to teach. These are the role models we need to know about. By now, I'm hoping that you have some curiosity toward the name if you're not familiar with who this person is. And my hope is that you will research who this person is and see what their mission is, what they're doing, and how courageous they are, and help. You can donate, you can support, you can talk. Just having discussions is powerful. And on that note, we are always welcome to love here at Roots Reggae Radio. This family of warriors here, this family of leaders. So if you want to make a donation to the station, you know how to find us on rootsreggaeradio.live. Get in contact with us or reach out at Inner Space Fortress on Instagram. If you want to volunteer and be a part of the team, that's another reason to reach out. There's so many ways to be a part of the ship, and we need you. It's how we do it together. It's how we get that positive vibration to the world in a quicker, shorter time. And we do this for our legacy, for the babies, for the future, for us rewriting how we want things to be, as we can all agree that things are not how they should be right now. It's not a time to lose our centeredness and lose hope, but it's a time to activate. These dark moments allow us to activate and be clear on what it is that we actually want to see. So I'm grateful that I have a voice, even though I sound out of breath, which I am all the time. But I have this voice to be able to share these reflection moments with you so that you can activate yourself and show up in your environments, in your families, in your workplaces, in your communities, in the way that we need you most to show up, which is in your true, authentic being. What is your path? What is your calling? What is it that you cannot avoid, no matter how much you try? It's that. And with that, I want to say hello. I have some friends in the studio. Hello there.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Who are you?
Idris.
Idris. Who's Idris?
I am mommy's son.
Your mommy's son. So my son.
Yes,
Nice. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
Okay. Okay. It's been a little while since you've been at the station.
That's true.
Where you been? You been busy?
Yeah, sometimes I'm having some time with Will,
Okay.
and sometimes I'm at my dad's house,
Gotcha.
and sometimes I'm doing things that very important, and I'm setting things up. Yeah, so I'm sometimes busy.
Really?
Yeah.
You got a busy schedule.
Yeah, that's why I'm not able to come every time.
Okay. Well, some of the listeners for sure have been wondering where you've been. So But have you been all right?
I've been fine.
That's good. That's good. How's school going?
It's going good.
That's good.
I
What
got I got shipped to another classroom though.
you got shipped to another classroom.
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. The principal said that more than 100 students moved to a different classroom, but I don't really believe that
Why not?
because sometimes they lie.
Oh, that's awareness. That's true.
Yeah.
How do you feel about being in your new classroom?
I feel better because um my other teacher, he didn't like me much. He liked everyone else but not me. But this teacher likes me only but doesn't like everyone else.
I think I understand what you mean. I'm pretty sure she likes everybody else, but she has a special liking for you, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. What were you feeling in the other classroom?
I was feeling upset.
Really?
Yeah.
Every day that you went?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Cuz he I was the only one that he didn't like.
How did you know that he didn't like you?
Well, he didn't call my name much and
Mm,
he he um he let me not do what the other kids are allowed to do. And
mm,
just because I was coding, which I was supposed to do,
mm-hmm. You're coding.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she he took the iPad away from me just because I was doing what I was supposed to, which is coding.
Well, I know you did talk to me about this. And don't say their names, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, we let them remain anonymous. We let Spirit take care of them. But I know you were talking to me about your teacher and your feelings, and I haven't heard anything change. It was getting worse and worse. And I know you're a good
Exactly.
kiddo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had a plan to talk to your teacher tomorrow, but
Seriously?
yep, we had a plan to call the vice principal and speak with your teacher, with the vice principal, and say, look, here's how Idris is feeling. Here's what we've been observing. And I just wanted to know maybe there's a strategy to why he's acting that way. Can you tell me why he would be acting that way? Just want you to know that we had a plan to have your back, but look at that. Navigating on the seas, everything got taken care of before. And we're still going to have a meeting. We're still going to advocate for you. You're not in this alone.
Thank you, Mommy.
You're welcome, love. I'm not leaving you alone ever. Ever.
Knew that.
Yeah. Until you're bigger than me and you're Iron Man and you don't need my shield, then I'll just
What?
travel behind you.
Nobody's Iron Man.
You will be.
One day,
I know.
if I get my robot from in a techno world, like I was talking about another time, then maybe. But really,
Well,
I might not.
you should be. You should see him. He's just like hand out, like, I might not. It might not happen. I mean, in your spirit and your courage, that you're going to be strong like an Iron Man and be able to fight for yourself.
Maybe.
I'm sure of it. You know why?
Why, Mommy?
If you, when you look back at these shows and these recordings, these lives, and you hear yourself talking, and you remember that you were only 7 years old, you're going to know why at that time. You're already Iron Man. You just don't know. But you're very strong, very powerful. And just as you see mommy navigating with friends, and some friends hear good news from mommy, and then they turn crazy and they get angry and they say mean things and they leave me out and they lie.
But
Can you imagine why would they be doing that to somebody who is good?
I don't know.
I don't want to stop it. I don't know why.
Probably like they just feel nervous, or they aren't ready, or things like that,
But that's
or
what,
they're sad or upset, or probably you did something.
hmm.
but I know that you wouldn't do anything bad to them because you're a
Hmm.
great person.
Well, the thing is that usually people, their actions are about them, right? How they treat you is usually not about you. It's about something they're feeling within themselves. And there's
I
some.
I never knew that actually.
Now
I'm
you
not
know.
lying.
I don't expect you to be lying. You're here smirking, and I don't think you're lying. I'm saying though, usually what I've realized because I take a lot of reflection time, I'm realizing from this last stint of hard times is that people are scared of mommy.
They are
I
because they're
th-
strong.
exactly.
I see.
Why would they be afraid of a strong black woman?
I have no idea.
Come on.
Because they're strong and they have so much power.
Exactly. What do you mean you don't know? You just said it exactly.
That's correct.
I believe it is. So,
That's crazy. I didn't know I would be correct.
well, I'm realizing that my next level in the video game of life is for me not to take it personally. It's really hard when people say personal things and it's really hurtful.
That's a great choice, mommy.
Well, it's a choice I'm working on. I didn't perfect it. It still hurts so much.
When
But I am trying to realize that and also level up even one more time and realize, are these people that I can change? Are these people that I can help? Are these people that deserve an explanation from me? Or are these people that I need to say thank you to and leave behind? So I think what happened for you in school is the same because you know everywhere you go, you're the smartest boy in class, all of these things. That's because mommy made you that way and worked really hard at that. And you worked really hard at listening and learning. But that makes people really uncomfortable, especially if they don't know what they're doing. To have such a smart little boy in the class who will ask good questions, who will do extra, it's kind of nerve wracking. Sometimes people don't know how to be because just being beside you makes them feel small.
it does,
Sometimes because they don't have their own cup filled. Do you remember the first song I played called Fill My Cup? They didn't fill their cup. So when your cup is overflowing, they're drowning, even though it's just a cup. They're drowning like they were in an ocean.
it's like that card that you got that
Yes,
said like, do you choose to go in the cup and drown, or do you choose to get out the cup and be free?
exactly. There's a card that I had that had a frog in a teacup. Really cool cards from 401 Richmond building downtown. And there's a whole story with the artist drawing, but it showed this really big bullfrog sitting in a beautiful, like British teacup, like a Royal Doulton kind of thing. And the lesson for him was don't drown in a teacup full of water. Don't make yourself drown. It's just a teacup. Come out of the cup. And I learned from somewhere else that if you're somewhere where you have to keep changing yourself in order to be accepted or working really hard to explain yourself, you probably just need to change your where, not your what, and just change your environment. And now you came home and told me today that you were experiencing all these troubles, and today life helped you change your environment and you're in a new class and you like it more, right?
Exactly.
Well, I wanted you to know it's really important for you to like going to school. It's more important for you to like learning. And so I was a little bit worried when you were feeling down every time you came home from school about your class. Because if I put my powerful son in a classroom with a leader who's supposed to know how to humble himself in the midst of power, no matter how small the package it comes in is. But he has inner work to do, so he starts to mistreat children. Is that a safe place or a dangerous place?
Dangerous.
Dangerous for who?
Me
Mm-hmm.
and everyone if they go to that class.
Exactly. So now mommy has a duty, or does she? You're out of the class, so is the problem solved?
It's solved.
Does mommy have to do anything else? Stop balancing around because then you're going to go close and yell into the mic and hurt people's ears. Okay, you have to stand on 2 feet when you're on the radio, not one. We're not in the circus.
Okay.
Does mommy have any other work to do in that situation? Now that you're out of the class, do I need to do anything or say anything?
Not a dot of it.
Really?
So you're fine. You don't have to work on anything. Because
Well,
I moved to a different class.
I appreciate that. However, I care about your classmates too. So I do have more work to do.
You do?
I have to let somebody know what was happening, especially when it comes to about the children. I feel like maybe somebody already spoke to the principal, and maybe that's why some people got moved. However, just in case they don't know how this teacher is treating people, I'm going to make sure they know so that they have to be accountable and make some changes because we don't play those games. Would you play with your happiness?
No. I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
The happiest people in life take their happiness very seriously.
That I'm one of them. I take my happiness very seriously. So much more serious than anyone.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm not joking. I take it super serious.
How do you take it seriously?
When I'm happy, I'm happy. When I'm sad, I try to get happy again. And when I'm happy, then my heart is happy. And when my heart is happy, then I have fun.
Okay.
But if my heart is not happy, then I have no fun and I get bored.
Mm, I get it. I get exactly what you're saying. I get exactly what you're saying. But sometimes you're going to be in situations in life where you have to be uncomfortable, or to do the right thing is going to make you a little bit sad, a little bit uncomfortable, but it's still worth you doing the right thing. It's like someone we're going to talk about. We've been talking about someone today. Have you heard the name of the man we're going to talk about?
Colin?
Colin Kaepernick. What do you know about him?
Well, he was a football player, and instead of standing for the what's it called,
The national anthem?
the national anthem, he instead kneeled down on one leg.
Mm. Then what happened?
And then someone was forcing him to stand up and saying like, you have to stand up, you can't kneel down on the floor, you have to stand up to represent it. And then he didn't listen and he continued, and then he got kicked out of football, and he kept training and training to get back in.
Oh, don't give them that part yet. We're going to let them know. But yep. So what should people do if they don't know who Colin Kaepernick is? What should they do?
Either research, either find his show, which he has.
Oh, yes.
Um,
On Netflix.
there's many choices. You can um you can see what he looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so many choices.
Okay. Well, listeners, you've been told about the choices. Pick one of them. And we'll be getting into some music and coming back and reasoning a little bit more. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds great.
You going to stick around to learn about Colin?
Yes, I will.
Let me ask you a question. If somebody is taking a stand or standing up for what's right, and then the world makes them get in trouble, what should you do?
Try not to do that again. Try not to do it again. Then you would be fine. That one's the most important. Um, that's the only answer I know of.
Well, what I mean is, if Colin, let's say Colin was your friend in school, okay? If
Okay.
Colin stood up because he saw that somebody was bullying the children and getting them hurt, and the teacher said, Colin, I don't want you to talk about this at all. Sit down. And Colin said, no, I'm going to talk about this because people are getting hurt. And then the teacher said, fine, you're kicked out of school. You can't go to school. And he says, but I have to go to school. It's my right. And the teacher says, nope, go home. And then for 6 years, he's not allowed to go to school. As the people around in the classroom or in the community who know this happened, what should we do?
Uh, we should train and train to get back in. We should not do it again. But if it's for a good reason, maybe you can, but just make sure that nobody sees, or else you might get in trouble and get kicked out again.
So, guess what? That's a really logical answer. But what we're here to do is to help with one of his missions, which is mass mobilization, which means mobilizing people to come together. If you see that somebody is standing up for something right, and then the powerful people attack him, guess what? We should stand with him because the powerful people are not as strong as a whole army. So
That's
when you treat your brother and your classmate and your community member and your human mate, your fellow human, as your family, and you don't let anybody kick them down alone, then the message is going to come across because they can't pick on everybody.
that's such a great idea.
And what they want you to do is get scared so that you never do it again. They want you to say, look what happened to him. I'm never going to speak up. I'm going to let the bad things happen. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to go home and read a book.
But instead of getting scared, you should just you should just say, "Uh-oh, that guy's getting hurt," and go help him.
Exactly. Because if we all did that, he'd probably be playing football already. He'd be back.
Yeah.
But that's a conversation for after this musical break. It was nice speaking with you, Idris.
It was nice to talk to you too, Mommy.
Where can we find you on Instagram? I know you're
Um,
famous and all that stuff.
Before I'm king, no spaces
Bef-
or capitals.
Before I'm King.
Correct.
That's your name on Instagram?
Correct.
Managed by your mother, of course.
Yes.
So no creepos allowed. But if people want to get in contact with the little one, if you have some little fans out there who want to get in contact with you and be a good friend, definitely reach out to Idris. And I see you in the future of Roots Reggae Radio having your own show. I see that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have one pretty soon.
What? I have to talk to the management about that. Keep doing good in school. Keep trying your best. Be resilient. Don't give up. And I'm pretty sure you'll get to take over Mommy's show or have your own.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you too.
I got your back, okay?
I got your back too.
That I know.
Yo, Luton Chevy. This is Luton Fire. Yes, yes. Alongside Chevy. Omega love it from whoa, whoa, whoa. Aye, aye, aye. Yes. It's a long, long road. So let your happiness move in. Collapse or stay on road. It's a long, long road, journey of the fittest and the real strength. The place rocky, man, you're lucky if you reach them. Hey. Lord, Lord, hey. We know life is great as the trees grow day by day. I won't pretend I just depend upon my fate, because the road to happiness is not a failure. And this life I had to live is not a game. Sometimes the people that you meet is unfamiliar, and every chance is that to take you go again. You know, see it. Sometimes you buckle down for take the first shot. The referee's been so ugly, man. You think you go flop. Them call you technical foul, and right there your game stops. So confused, so take the blame and get your mind off shot. Check the clock. I beg you please, now watch them time and don't to gaze and repeat yourself. Be one of a kind, creating a bed for your blessed design. Just take your shot from the free throw line. Yes, it's a long, long road, so let your happiness prove it. Collapse or stay on road. It's a long, long road, journey of the fittest and the real strength. The place rocky, man, you're lucky if you reach them. Hey. Lord, Lord.
The journey of 1,000 miles start now. Get a superstar, love the way you start out. Never listen to hypocrites with them chatty mouth. The good things we do, they never yet chat about. Yeah, dancing on me, we ain't not to take it back around. I watch them on the level, stand up on the top of road. Life is a song that I sing from my soul. Rhythm like melodies, rivers flow. Plant good seeds, observe them grow. Chant Rastafari, purge them slow. But idling a engine, you must broke down. It's a long way from country to town.
It's a long, long road, so let your happiness prove it. Collapse or stay on road. It's a long, long road, journey of the fittest and the real strength. The place rocky, man, you're lucky if you reach them.
Yes, indeed. I do like to say indeed. That was Long Road with Luton Fire and Sure B. Whew. Little boy is powerful. It was not an easy road. It's been a long road with little Idris. But you have to fight. You have to fight for it. Here, you just have to know what your vision for the little ones are and know that that's what needs to happen. Come hell or high water, you just get it done. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and everyone appreciates loves how he is. Oh, wow, he's so smart. He's so considerate and everything. But it took a lot of sacrifice from me. It took a lot of me missing out on enjoyment from what you would say is the joyful motherhood, because I realized making this be about him was more important. It needed to be what would equip him with the right tools to be strong, to be resilient. Not about what people think about me, not about what people think about my parenting, but zoning into that inner space again, right? See how the inner space, the fortress has many different rooms in the fortress, right? Now you're building a family. That's a whole nother, that's, you just think of a real castle. You have the courtyard, you have the royal quarters, you have all these places that have different functions, right? So now think of the education piece, or where the children are cared for, or what have you. But I knew, by zoning into him, learning his patterns, learning what our real environment was. I'm not attacking anybody, but example. Gentle parenting does not work for this child. That's not something that is going to happen ever in my household, because it doesn't work for him. That might work for somebody else, but I knew, by way of the results of, I'd say, parent mates, and I see how their children struggle with certain things. What I want to say is, them choosing that path and their children struggling with certain things might fit for them. There may be a lot of supports in that area where they struggle with those things. I knew what my reality was. I didn't have a lot of supports. I knew that I had to raise a young king who had discernment, who knew how to keep himself safe, who knew how to not be an abuser, etc., etc. Do what you need to do for your child, especially in this climate where we're pushing a lot of ideologies on the children. You can't slow down. You can't turn a blind eye. You can't say, I disagree with it, and stop there. There's a fight that needs to happen, then you get it done. They're relying on you to be there every step of the way, to recognize their blind spots, to recognize where you can stand in and, allow them to remain as a child in the places that they can. But you ask little one, and he knows. I always say, this world, and he'll finish, was not made for children. Some may judge that, but my son is aware of that. From he was 4 years old, he knew this world is not made for you. So there's certain things that I'm going to teach you, instill in you, that's for your own good. That might not look like what other children are engaging in or doing with their time. However, my job is to make sure that you survive and you thrive. And that's how I ensure that I'm doing a good job as queen, as a parent, making sure that it's for you. So it's not about my personal enjoyment and what would be easier and what would take less work, that the tablet might be able to take over and give me some free time, or, enjoying an example that wasn't really applied to my situation, but example, co-sleeping or something, knowing that I would have to leave him with babysitters that he doesn't know. If he's used to having to sleep beside somebody in the same bed, how is he going to function when I'm not there? So from an earlier age, I sleep trained him. From an earlier age, I made sure he understood how to comfort himself. There was no loss of love or attention in that space. I just made it mechanical. I made him know that here I'm giving it to you, and here I'm turning it off so that you can give it to yourself. Whole conversation to have here. But that's just a sneak peek into Idris. I'm proud of him because it's a two-way street. He has to also be receptive to it to receive the lessons. So he was receptive. He understands. And that's because I show him my true self. I show him when I get burned. I show him when I get hurt. I show him when I cry. I show him when people don't understand me and how it feels. So when he has these emotions, he knows that he's not a leper to feel such big emotions and feel anger. He knows that mommy experiences them too, and that mommy gets past them too. He said to me today, I know you're going to be all right. I know you're going to get past all of these things. And even when I feel like I can't, he's there to remind me because he's been there for the track record. He's seen the receipts. So it's interesting. I don't believe in the raising your child to be as your friend per se. If you remember when Oliver Levy was on the show, he explained that there's different stages, and there is a time to be their disciplinarian, and then there is a time to establish that friendship or that bond. I maybe won't call it friendship, but establishing a bond. But I made sure to do both. I made sure that he knows he can come to me when there are difficult situations. And he also knows that it's not an option to hold it in. That's just not an option. So either you feel comfortable speaking about it now or a few minutes later or with somebody else who's trusted, but not talking about it is not an option. It's that simple. You got to set the boundaries. But anywho, speaking of those, I wonder about this man's upbringing, which we can get into a little bit later. Check, check. 1, 2. Woo, losing you. Hello, hello. Oh, no. Check, 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 check. Something's happening with my microphone. Let me use this one here. Check, check. Mic check, mic check. All right, we're switching to this one. The beauty of live radio. Colin Kaepernick. I can see what's been instilled in him. I heard that he was adopted. And he is black and white, but was adopted by 2 white parents. And somehow, this very Afrocentric, pro-black, Afro-wearing young man was able to keep all of that heart, that spirit strong. I wonder if his parents had anything to do with it. I wonder if his environment had anything to do with it. But all I know is here in the Inner Space Fortress, the vulnerability piece is also being open to learning. So I'm here just sharing my learning with you as I learn. So I'd like to share this clip with you and tell me what you think.
This country stands for freedom, liberty, justice for all. And it's not happening for all right now. Nothing's ever been done without criticism. Every great change, every great, whether it's revolution or evolution of things, there's always criticism of it. I was adopted when I was very young, and that probably wouldn't have happened if my parents didn't lose 2 children to genetic heart defects. When there's significant change, and I feel like that flag represents what it's supposed to represent, and this country is representing people the way that it's supposed to, I'll stand.
I stand by what I've done. I know why I've done it. My faith in God is the reason. And I can go to sleep at night confident that I did what I was called to do.
I want to just
shine light on police brutality, on racial inequality, and things like that. And that's what NFL players have stood for, and I definitely respect it.
The fact that you say, no, you're a backup quarterback, stay in your place, that's an issue. I mean, to me, you're telling me that my position as a backup quarterback and being quiet is more important than people's lives.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired.
Colin Kaepernick is under attack. What do we do?
I think by the amount of people that are coming out here today on short notice like this is an indication that, people are in agreement that Kaepernick is not being treated fairly.
Believe in your path. And by doing that, we can become who we're destined to be. So the celebration of our 10th Know Your Rights camp, the evolution of where we started from just the idea of how do we have an impact in our community. And we went from that 75 to 100 at our first camp to now being at over 450 youth at our camp in LA. And it's been incredible to see the evolution of what we've been able to accomplish, the evolution of the impact with youth, the evolution of relationships that we've been able to build with partner organizations in each city, and how that's allowed us to have sustained impact there. All of our programming, from our Know Your History to knowing your legal rights, finance, higher education, tech, holistic health, which is both physical and mental health, our art session, and self-empowerment. So when we look at these collectively, we look at this as a toolkit that the youth can take with them and hopefully have impact in any direction that they go.
LA, how are y'all feeling today?
I hope today is filled with so much love, joy, and knowledge and information that you will use and continue to use.
I tell you, a lot of movement, a lot of impact is made by young people.
Show me what community looks like. This is what community looks like.
People power and solidarity between Black and brown and indigenous people.
I'm going to tell you all to commit to economic justice because it is the right thing to do.
We're here to help you understand technology to create an even more diverse and inclusive community.
So we're going to talk about knowing your rights and knowing your reality. And finally, the Fifth Amendment protects you from self-incrimination.
I'm going to remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it.
The radical imagination is magic. It becomes your manifestation from the nothing to the something.
5 things that you love. And exhale through your mouth loudly.
I feel powerful when I'm being myself for real, when I'm comfortable in my own shoes.
Part of the power of knowing our history is that we can no longer be manipulated. I am powerful. We are powerful. We are powerful. Everyone will receive a backpack. In the backpack for you will be a pair of Beats headphones. You will also receive
the autobiography of Malcolm X in that backpack. You will also receive Abolition for the People in that backpack. All of you will be getting a pair of Nike shoes as well.
I know my rights.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Colin.
So celebration of our 10th. That letter was never written. That letter was tragically sad and downright pathetic. Colin Kaepernick has let his setback become his identity, and I hate that for him. God exalted Colin Kaepernick into a position of leadership in regard to activism, and it pains me to see that man still begging to be in a league that he called racist and compared to a plantation. And I hate that he can never speak for himself. He always got somebody else speaking for him or putting out his messaging for him. That's so whack to me. I wish Colin the best in all his endeavors, but this begging, you know, these same people you called racist for an opportunity is pitiful.
I just don't like it.
Pitiful.
I'd rather him go to, what's the other league that they created? The XFL league or any other league. But the fact that they boxed him out, they don't want him in the league. Like, that's clear.
Very clear. And I asked earlier in the room, like, how good of a football player was he? Because the way that they just threw him out after all that, you would think that he wasn't good. But
He was a good player.
I heard he was
It
good.
don't even matter. It's been 7 years.
This is why I gave Stephen A. Smith donkey today. I
Yeah,
didn't like
tell
his
us
views on
about
Colin Kaepernick.
Tell us about the shirt and your take on Colin.
I mean, this is just a shirt representing Colin Kaepernick. I feel like, Colin Kaepernick should not be getting punished for doing the right thing. I mean, Colin Kaepernick decided to take a stand by not standing. And he took a stand against people that are being marginalized and oppressed in this country. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I think he should be saluted and commended for that, actually.
Well,
he
I'm trying to
supported
figure
that.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because when you talk about Donkey of the Day and you said that's one of the times you gave it to me, that's fair. But I don't hear you saying a single word just now that I disagreed with.
Okay.
So what's the problem? Well, I mean, where did the problem lie in terms of what I had to say about Colin Kaepernick?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said that his words didn't mean anything because he said he didn't vote.
What I was saying, yeah, that's to paraphrase, not exactly, but that's close enough. My position is clear, and I know that you have an idea about history. You know a little something about history, if not more than me, more than a lot of people. All I was trying to say is that the number one instrument, the number one tool that we have in our nation today to provoke change is the power to vote. You talk to a lot of black folks, old school, people like Joe Madison and others, people that marched, people that bled and risked their lives for us to have the right to vote. For him to come out publicly, and I should not have said it was that he voted or not voted. My real issue with him is that he publicized the fact that he didn't vote as if to encourage others not to do so as well. And I thought that was counterproductive and counter to everything that he said he was trying to accomplish. To that you say what?
There's other ways to make change. And
I agree with that.
Malcolm X was one of our greatest civil rights leaders ever. I don't know if you ever heard the Ballad of the Bullet.
Yes.
He said to sit on your vote too, if what you want is not actually on that ballot. So I mean,
times were different then too.
Yeah, but you wouldn't discredit Malcolm X as a leader. So I'm not going to discredit Colin Kaepernick just because he decided to not vote.
I believe that us honoring our flag and our anthem is part of what binds us together as a nation. And I think that for me, for my family, for those who work in the White House, we recognize what it means to us, but also what it means to the men and women who are fighting on our behalf. But I'm also always trying to remind folks that part of what makes this country special is that we respect people's rights to have a different opinion and to make different decisions about how they want to express their concerns. And the test of our fidelity to our Constitution, to freedom of speech, to our Bill of Rights, is not when it's easy, but when it's hard. We fight sometimes so that people can do things that we disagree with. But that's what freedom means in this country. And so, my hope would be that as this debate surfaces, we're always reminding ourselves that in a democracy like ours, there are going to be a lot of folks who do stuff that we just don't agree with. But as long as they're doing it within the law, then we can voice our opinion objecting to it, but it's also their right. And, I think that it's also important for us to recognize that sometimes out of these controversies, we start getting into a conversation, and I want everybody to listen to each other. So I want Mr. Kaepernick and others who are on a knee, I want them to listen to the pain that may cause somebody who, for example, had a spouse or a child who was killed in combat, and why it hurts them to see somebody not standing. But I also want people to think about the pain that he may be expressing about somebody who's lost a loved one that they think was unfairly shot. And one of the things I always say about American democracy is it can be frustrating, but it's the best system we got. And the only way that we make it work is to see each other, listen to each other, try to be respectful of each other, not just go into separate corners. And I do hope that anybody who's trying to express any political view of any sort understands that they do so under the blanket of protection of our men and women in uniform, and that appreciation of that sacrifice is never lost.
What are you trying to accomplish? What would you like this to be the end game for you?
That's basically. Ultimately, it's to bring awareness and make people, realize what's really going on in this country. There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust. People aren't being held accountable for, and that's something that needs to change. That's something that, this country stands for: freedom, liberty, justice for all, and it's not happening for all right now.
Is this something that's evolved as a philosophy in your mind, and how has this kind of progressed that you make a stand like this?
It's something that I've seen, I've felt, wasn't quite sure how to deal with originally, and it is something that's evolved. It's something, as I've gained more knowledge about, what's going on in this country in the past, what's going on currently. These aren't new situations. This isn't new ground. It's things that have gone on in this country for years and years and have never been addressed, and they need to be.
Will you continue, Colin, to sit? Will you continue to sit?
Yes, I'll continue to sit. I'm going to continue to stand with the people that are being oppressed. To me, this is something that has to change. And when there's significant change, and I feel like that flag represents what it's supposed to represent, and this country is representing people the way that it's supposed to, I'll stand.
Specifically, what would you like to see change in order for you to stand?
There's a lot of things that need to change. One specifically is police brutality. There's people being murdered unjustly and not being held accountable. Cops are getting paid leave for killing people. That's not right. That's not right by anyone's standards.
Colin, so many people see the flag as kind of a symbol of the military. How do you view it, and what do you say to those people?
I have great respect for men and women that have fought for this country. I have family, I have friends that have gone and fought for this country. And they fight for freedom. They fight for the people. They fight for liberty and justice for everyone. And that's not happening. People are dying in vain because this country isn't holding their end of the bargain up as far as, giving freedom and justice and liberty to everybody. It's something that's not happening. And I've seen videos, I've seen circumstances where men and women that have been in the military have come back and been treated unjustly by the country they fought for. and have been murdered by the country they fought for on our land. That's not right.
Do you not personally feel oppressed? Personally?
There have been situations where I feel like I've been ill-treated, yes, but this stand wasn't for me. This stand wasn't because I feel like I'm being put down in any kind of way. This is because I'm seeing things happen to people that don't have a voice, people that don't have a platform to talk and have their voices heard and affect change. So I'm in a position where I can do that, and I'm going to do that for people that can't.
Is this the first year that you haven't stood up? Did you do it other years, or is this the first time?
This year's the first year that I've done this.
You did all the preseason games so far?
Yes.
This is the first time it was noticed.
Yes.
How did your teammates respond when you explained yourself today, and what was the support like for you?
The support I've got from my teammates has been great. You know, I think a lot of my teammates come from areas where this might be a situation. Their families might be put in this situation. It's something that I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, you know, I really respect you for what you're doing and what you're standing for. So to me, that's something that I know what I'm doing, what's right, and I know other people see what I'm doing is right. It's something that we have to come together, we have to unite, we have to unify and make a change.
What do you say to the people that say, hey, you're doing the right thing, but you're going about it the wrong way?
I don't understand how it's the wrong way. To me, this is a freedom that we're allowed in this country. And going back to the military thing, it's a freedom that men and women that have fought for this country have given me this opportunity by the contributions they have made. So I don't see it as going about it the wrong way. This is something that has to be said. It has to be brought to the forefront of everyone's attention. And when that's done, I think people can realize what the situation is and then really affect change.
You've done it every preseason game. Are you almost relieved that it took this game and the questioning that followed to let your voice be heard?
It wasn't something that I really planned as far as it blowing up. It was something that I personally decided I just can't stand for what this represents right now. It's not right. And the fact that it has blown up like this, I think is a good thing. You know, it brings awareness. Everybody knows what's going on, and this sheds more light on it. Now, I think people are really talking about it, having conversations about how to make change, what's really going on in this country, and we can move forward.
Are you concerned this is seen as like a blanket indictment of law enforcement in general?
What was that?
Are you concerned that it can be seen as a blanket indictment against law enforcement in general?
As far as what? I don't really understand what you're trying to get at.
People getting murdered by police. I mean, do you think that it's seen as sort of an indictment against police?
There is police brutality.
Yeah.
People of color have been targeted by police. So that's a large part of it. And they're government officials. They're put in place by the government. So, you know, that's something that this country has to change. There's things we can do to, you know, hold them more accountable, make those standards higher. You have people that practice law and are lawyers and go to school for 8 years, but you can become a cop in 6 months and don't have to have the same amount of training as a cosmetologist. That's insane. I mean, someone that's holding a curling iron has more education and more training than people that have a gun and are going out on the street to protect us.
Wow. We're going to talk about that very shortly. Thank you, Colin, for your words.
Bless I with the recipes, deliver messages, so skill like Messi is. Winter met the beat and it's a sting, so till my vex with it. Call the exorcist, so possessive with my penmanship. If you know the lyrics when me sing, man, I see no sense in it. Them keep requesting it. People in the street obsessed with it. Telling me said them evil energies, me redirecting it. Get a youth and keep neglecting it. To be specific, the rich man keeping money private, just like the sector is. Trying to mess with this, the youth them have them extra clip. Them not afraid to knock a politician politician are them next of kin. Water them like half, I know the light bill them so pressuring. Ready figure pop off in the door if them no let us in. Cause in a school a church song where them let us sing. Brainwash the youth, them know what shopper where them left us in. When the prayers them not get no answer, now them prefacing. Now a body rider shots a girl them want to dress up in. Why you think them orderless? Cause the youth them fatherless. Now I'm not disciplined, them more unruly than my can, I guess. System getting harder, yes. Issues where them not address. More time you want to burn a split for marijuana, yes.
This a generation, I take no talk. I trust no shadow of the dark. From your destination, you're up is spark. For your policies, there is no reward. This a generation, I take no talk. I trust no shadow of the dark. Violate the nation, the Gideon kick off.
Let me tell them one thing again. Babylon crime, well, me say a white collar. All kind of pills, them of the youths, them a swallow. When them say bad company, them go follow. Poverty, I make the people squeal and holler. After them a chop the line and never turn them in a scholar. With a dirty lifestyle, you will not go a collar. No for them, they say we sell you out for your dollar. All of a sudden, everybody life gone super. Everything I tell me them a top shooter. Violate the culture, violate the roots. They don't know about Marcus, Malcolm X, or Luther. Ready for stand on the battlefield and fight. Defend the justice and the equal rights. Emperor Selassie, I am in govern the heights. We know you don't clarity them nation, no light.
This a generation, I take no talk. I trust the shadow of the dark. From your destination.
I have to wheel this one. Have to. After those interviews. Jeez. You're hearing Wrath from Samori I, Kabaka Pyramid, and Capleton.
Kabaka Pyramid I represent. Summary, Rasta bigger than the president. Jah bless I with the recipes, deliver messages, so skill like Messi is. Winter met the beat and it's a sting, so till my vex with it. Call the exorcist, so possessive with my penmanship. If you know the lyrics when me sing, man I see no sense in it. Them keep requesting it, people in the street obsessed with it. Telling me said them evil energies, me redirecting it. Get a youth and keep neglecting it. To be specific, the rich man keeping money private just like the sector is. Trying to mess with this, the youth them have them extra clip. Them no fear to knock a politician. Now them next of kin. Water them like half, I know the light bill them so pressuring. Ready figure pop off in the door if them no let us in. Cause in a school a church song where them let us sing. Brainwash the youth, them know what shopper where them left us in. When the prayers them not get the answer, now them prefacing. Now a body rider shots a girl them want to dress up in. Why you think them orderless? Cause the youth them fatherless. Now I'm not disciplined, them more unruly than Papan, I guess. System getting harder, yes. Issues where them not address. More time you have to burn a split from marijuana, yes.
This a generation, I take no talk. I trust the shadow of the dark. From your destination,
Yeah, destination.
spark for your policies, there is no reward. This a generation.
This generation shall make the change. This generation.
Violate the nation, the Gideon kick off.
Let me tell them one thing again. Babylon crime, well, me say a white collar. All kind of pills, them of the youths, them a swallow. When them say bad company, them go follow. Poverty, I make the people squeal and holler. After them a chop the line and never turn them in a scholar. With a dirty lifestyle, you will not go a collar. No for them, they say we sell you out for your dollar. All of a sudden, everybody life gone super. Everything I tell me, them a top shooter. Violate the culture, violate the roots. They don't know about Marcus, Malcolm X, or Luther. Ready for stand on the battlefield and fight. Defend the justice and the equal rights. Emperor Selassie, I am in govern the heights. We know you know clarity, them nation, no light.
This a generation.
This one.
I take no talk. I trust the shadow of the dark. From your destination. You're up is spark for your policies, there is no reward. This a generation. I take no talk. I trust the shadow of the dark. Violate the nation. The Gideon and kick off. When time the Rasta man a rot. All those dreams you sell, the tales you tell, we know them too well. Empty words you speak are just to keep us under your spell. Still we choose to rise with open eyes. Our greatness we recognize. So for the truth we'll fight forever. This generation, not take no talk, not trust no shadow of the dark. From your destination, fire rough is spark, for your policies there is no reward. This generation, not take no talk, not trust no shadow of the dark. Fire the nation, the Gideon kick off. When time the Rasta man a rot.
My gosh. Wow.
Empty words you speak are just to keep us under your spell. Still we choose to rise with open eyes. Our greatness we recognize.
That is a tribute.
So for the truth we'll fight forever. Generation, not take no talk.
Colin Kaepernick. That's who we're talking about. Go look him up. Go support. Elders listening, you need to know who the next generation is. Willing to take a stand, willing to take a knee, impart on them the wisdom they need. Just gonna keep this one in the background. We're going till 9 tonight in the Inner Space Fortress. You've been listening to yours truly, your host, the Gem Press, bringing to you awareness about courage being reinstilled in the black man and how we can go about supporting that. How we can make sure that the courageous black man is not made an example out of, but is made to be the lion that triumphs in the jungle. Simple. Don't turn a blind eye, especially when you see a lion. I want to say a beautiful greetings to Will in the studio. Mic check, mic check.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good, good.
We've been hearing a lot. A whole lot. Listening to those interviews. We heard from Obama. We heard his take. We heard a lot from Colin Kaepernick and a few other people who were in the NFL. And what a thing. But before we get into that, I would love for you to introduce yourself any way you like and let the people know who you are.
Well, hello out there. I'm Will. I'm not sure if many are around from my last interviews. From the States, I've been part of the Queendom for a while and feel pretty good to be here.
All right, all right, all right. Hailing all the way from?
Buffalo.
All right, all right. Are you into football?
I used to be. It's been a year since I watched. The NFL is not for me because it's extremely scripted. They know who's gonna win way before the game is even played, way before the season is even made. That's how they're able to control so much.
Right.
So it's crazy that Cap is back in the news because he's been trying to get into the NFL almost every season. He's been because he's not retired, and he still is he's active on the roster, so any team can pick him up.
Right.
They can send him out to a workout or a training camp and see what he has. But no NFL team doesn't want to do that, and there's a lot of NFL teams out there.
They don't want the smoke.
Not even the slightest bit.
No one's willing to take a stand with him, and they know he's good. He's a good player.
Oh yeah, phenomenal. He's been doing training camps for 6+ years. Even when they let him go during the season, he was running training camps. Football and sports and giving back to the Black community, it's all he's been since birth. So
wow,
it's kind of heartbreaking that they will take this away from him because besides Michael Vick, he's the first Black quarterback to reach as many rushing yards as he did. He took San Fran to the Super Bowl, I think his first or second year. He came in. Yeah, he was unstoppable. That whole squad was unstoppable.
So he's been around for a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's been playing since 2013.
Wow. And he's been for the community his whole life.
Absolutely.
And he was raised by 2 white parents, adopted.
Even though he admitted that they were racist against him.
Jeez.
They did not approve of his afro. So they started making him to wear braids because that made his hair straighter.
Wow.
That was one of the struggles he had growing up, but yet he still stayed strong to his roots. And losing his brothers, his other 2 siblings, to the heart diseases that they had, it was him make it or no one makes it.
Wow. Do you know if those 2 brothers were from his adopted parents or his birth parents?
Oh no, his birth parents. Yeah, he lost his 2 siblings. Yeah, at a very young age, though.
Wow. And so I think he grew up in California, no?
Yeah. Yep.
California.
Yep.
2 white parents. Still sporting the afro for the community. Major loss from a young age. So you're someone who, and correct me if I'm wording it wrong, does not support the NFL.
Not in the slightest bit.
But how do you feel about this situation? What do you think about Colin's current situation, even though you don't support the NFL?
So when the NFL wanted to sign him back in 2017, I made a vow not to watch NFL. I made it 1 season, though. I mean, it was tough, but because in America, football is like your drug. They give it to you on Monday, Sunday, and now Saturdays and Thursdays. Saturday morning and Thursday evening. So like you get it almost every single day of the week in the States. So like football is what we bleed. And basketball too, but it's mostly football. So when I heard that he wasn't going to get signed, I was upset. My team wasn't doing too good. I'm like, well, we need a quarterback. Why not pick him up? At the time, and for a while, the only team that I rooted for was the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
They're famous for their mobile quarterback. That's a quarterback that can run outside the pocket and throw pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
We had quarterbacks like Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, Carson Wentz, obviously Jason Hurts, and the list goes on and on. But all these are mobile quarterbacks. So to see Kaepernick not get signed in the we are in need of a quarterback, that really upset me. And I just followed him. I follow a handful of blue check people on Instagram, and he's one of them because I love what he does outside of the community.
Outside of football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the interviews that you guys seen was actually a clip of his program.
Yes. No, tell us about it. So he has a Netflix program right now.
Oh, I was talking about his school program.
Okay.
For the youth, but yeah,
Got you.
His Netflix, Colin in Black and White and White and Black. What's the title?
Well, go on for now.
But that Netflix special, I think you guys should really get into it. I think it's only maybe 6 or 8 episodes. Episodes aren't long, but it's really deep. It covers all social injustice, racism, standing up as a Black man in America and not knowing how to stand up because your two examples at home are white. So you don't
Crazy.
know how to be a black male, and you went to a predominantly white school. They only love you because you're athletic, so they put you on every sports, and then they smiled behind you. But yet you use your talent to get you forward, to keep you moving forward. I think it's a well done piece. I'm not sure if he had any hand in producing it or directing it, but I feel like it covered everything that he went through. And I felt what he went through because I have a similar background. I've been through foster homes
Right.
and placements and things like that. And I know you get put with people that just don't understand you at all. But to still be able to be yourself and not be
Right.
changed when everything else is different, that's
That's
huge.
big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so definitely should check that out on Netflix.
Wow. I'm just seeing here. He definitely was one of the creators with Ava DuVernay for that. And has a pretty high rating on all the ratings, I'd say. But you can definitely catch it on Netflix, Colin in Black and White. And he speaks about knowing how to be on your path. You know what? There's so much to unpack in this, and we're going till 9 because we keep it more concise lately and leave that time period after the show for reflection. We used to go until 10, but I think it's better to have the 2 hours, jam-packed information, and then before it's bedtime, some time to reflect, some time to have discussions at home and such. But just to bring it all together, the beginning of this, what was Colin kneeling for? What happened?
Well, a lot happened the previous year. So the NFL season goes when things happen 2015, that's actually the 2016 football season. And that's when he started kneeling. But back then we lost Eric Harrison, Walter Scott, which are 2 days after. These are black males that were shot by cops, and both unarmed. And one was in the back, and the other one, he was sleeping in his car. We all know Freddie Gray and Alton Sterling. These are all people that were shot and killed by police, and Colin Kaepernick just had enough. On top of that, he has a lot of military friends, and I have a lot of military friends, and
Right.
they are getting mistreated poorly by the very system that they're serving to fight for. And he's lost a few of his military friends. I've only lost one through suicide. And so he was just standing up for those military people and the black families that couldn't speak up because they didn't have the multi-millions or the cameras on them
Right.
like they can have now, because now is everything's digital. So he just was kneeling for social justice to try to get that sort of like the Black Lives Matter movement before the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right. If you haven't seen any clips, I invite you to go online and take a look and see what all the hullabaloo is about. This very evil thing that he has done by kneeling down on one knee. And you heard the different clips and the different viewpoints. We put those all together to give an unbiased roundabout take on the situation for you to kind of see what's being said on all sides. Of course, there's a lot more viewpoints to hear from, but I personally commend him for doing what he did. I remember seeing it in the news. I'm not a football person at all. I remember my father always saying, like, don't pursue sports. We had this one friend, shout out Uncle Byron, somewhere in the world in the ethers.
Shout out Unc.
Yep, he's a character. I love him. If you're listening, Uncle Byron, get in touch with Gem Press. But he just had this dream that I was gonna do tennis. I never showed interest for tennis. I played it like a few times. It was cool, but I wanted to be a figure skater and be like Saria Bonali, who was also mistreated in the figure skating league. Cause, well, that's the whole thing for another show. But I was like, I'm gonna be the Jamaican Saria Bonali on ice. But it got expensive. But that being said, so you're adopted into this family. Mad money is being spent on this sport. A lot of training time, blood, sweat, tears, years, and then being accepted into the NFL to be willing to do this says a lot. And I was more concerned with, I didn't know his backstory, but I was more concerned with the fact that someone was willing to do that and what ripple effect that would give to young Black men seeing that. Not to say that we react by looting and shooting, because that is a fake narrative, but to show that that fake narrative is not the only narrative we have, that there are nonviolent ways as well. I support both when necessary, nonviolent ways as well to protest and to be heard. And I do hear the points of the people who are talking about the respect level towards the flag and towards those who have served, but that can be picked apart for me. Like, I feel like there's no true stance on that. I love what Obama said in his segment. He said that all right, and I think it just invites everybody to the table to have the conversation about how the other person feels, but that never happens. It's always, we got to hear what the white hat is saying because it's larger, richer, and it controls much more. And I heard Charlemagne saying, like, this guy wants to return to the NFL that he likened to slavery. And when I was speaking about my father and stuff, I remember him always saying, I don't want you to get into sports or music because you're just a monkey on display for them and you're getting pimped out.
Yeah.
Which is not a lie. You might be getting some real good pimp money into your pocket. You might be that number one HOE. However, you still getting pimped out. However, if this is your passion, if this is your path, and I think that's what his show is about, and I think this is what I want the takeaway to be about. If that is your passion, then it's not about just going into the monkey spaces or going into the zoo spaces or the circus spaces, but how you're going to go into those spaces and change the narrative or free the other quote unquote animals, quote unquote slaves in those spaces, right? Like, a monkey likes bananas and a monkey likes to be a monkey. It's a monkey. But because you put monkey in the circus doesn't make him less of a monkey. He's a monkey. I don't like this monkey reference balancing close to Black people. So it's an elephant, you know, he's not less of an elephant because he is showing how strong he is as an elephant, right? So I saw also that the BC Lions said no to, and that's the CFL, to Colin. And Colin actually turned down being a part of the Rocks League.
The FXL, yeah, which is, I think, in my opinion, it's better than NFL. It's not tainted just yet. It's going to get there, though.
And so, with only 9 minutes left, I invite, how do I say this? I want us to be, by the way, it's Libra season. Shout out to myself. Happy birthday to myself. Happy birthday to up Roots Reggae Radio. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to everybody who had a birthday already. Happy birthday to Petra. Happy birthday. But we're in Libra season and we move with nature. And so we're in the just scales. It's funny how we usually see elections happen and things like that in this season as well. But in this timing, you're being called to sit into seeing both sides of the story, or to weigh things out, or to try to keep things in balance. And I don't think We've trained ourselves as individuals to be comfortable being in the middle with conversations and taking a stand, that it has to be a fight in conversation, or it has to be a firm, this is the side I stand on, but not be able to meet each other in conversation, in true conversation. So my birthday wish to the listeners, for myself, if you'd like to gift me, is this October to really try to have conversations on topics that you may not agree with, may not understand, but try to see what the other person may be feeling, where they may be coming from, because there's so much magic in that middle ground, and we miss out on that because we think we are not being true to our spirituality or our religion or our country or our morals or what have you by simply trying to understand the other side. It's just like a good debate. If you don't try to understand the other side, how can you tell them that they're wrong? Right? So in all this, we always give a little taste preview. I mean, I'd love for you to go and look up this whole situation. But the reason his name is back in the news is because J. Cole, beloved rapper J. Cole, made a post. And he made it 6 days ago, saying that he asked if he could share a letter that Colin wrote in private with the world. He asked him if he could share it with the world, and he was reluctant. But J. Cole said he believed that people and all organizations should know the truth about how hard he works and how much he still wants to play. And I'm going to close out with reading it. But that's the other takeaway. I want you to listen keenly to the letter, understanding his history, his point of origin, how he held to his roots, how he held to his truth, and how he met controversy by standing up for the right thing, but also how he stood on his values and stood on who he was, even when no one was looking. How much he wants to play and what that means. If you are a footballer, then you are a footballer, whether you are accepted by the major organization or not. If you are the best, if you aim to be the best, if you aim to grow and be your own personal best, and that continues no matter who shoots you down, no matter who ostracizes you, no matter who shuts you out. So it's just phenomenal. It's commendable. I have so much love for Colin for this reason. And time is of the essence, so I'm going to get into it. But he turned down the Rocks League. And some may say, if this is such a terrible league, go to that one. But I just want to say I commend him, and I understand he has a mission. Just like we have a mission to spread positive vibrations, he's trying to make sure we have an example of somebody successfully standing up for something and being able to have their rights restored. And I support him, even if I wouldn't want to be in that space. If that's the mission, if that's the goal, I support that. Really quickly, he was writing to Joe of the New York Jets. I hope this letter finds you in great spirits despite the less than ideal start to a big season. I'm wishing you, your staff, and the players a great game this weekend as you look to bounce back. I'm writing, of course, in response to the unfortunate loss of Aaron Rodgers. I know the aspirations this season were and still are to win a championship, and so that Hall of Fame-sized hole will need to be filled as best as possible to keep the team on a Super Bowl track. As of right now, Zach Wilson is charged with that task, and I wish him and the rest of the team the best moving forward. However, I know that there are currently depth issues at the position, and I've heard that the backup spot is likely to be filled by a veteran quarterback. As much as I would love the opportunity to fill that spot, I'm writing you in hopes that you can imagine a much different approach involving me. I would be honored and extremely grateful for the opportunity to come in and lead the practice squad. I would do this with the sole mission of getting your defense ready each week. If I were able to fill this role for the team, I believe this allows for multiple things. One, it gives your defense the advantage of getting a truer read on the more mobile, versatile quarterbacks it will face when it in weeks 4, 5, and 6. I would consider it a privilege to be able to do this and would take on the responsibility with the dedication and passion as if it were the QB1 position. 2, this would allow you guys as an organization to take a real look at where I'm at football-wise in game-like situations against an elite defense, while also not putting any competitive pressure on Zach. I understand the importance of keeping him confident and focused as QB1, and I would only look to boost that confidence in any interactions that we may have if I was given this role within the team. In a perfect world for the Jets, Zach Wilson finds his stride and shows that he is able to lead the championship caliber team that you've put together to the Super Bowl. I believe a confident Zach Wilson has the tools to do this. However, in the event that this is not the case, I would love to offer you a risk-free contingency plan. I'm sure of my ability to provide you with an elite QB option if, God forbid, QB1 goes down. However, I know that there may naturally be uncertainties from you and possibly from others about my playing abilities. This plan, I believe, allows me to be of great service to the team as a practice squad QB, while also giving you a low commitment chance to assess my capabilities to help in any other capacity you may see fit. Worst case scenario, you see what I have to offer and you're not that impressed. Best case scenario, you realize you have a real weapon at your disposal in the event you ever need to use it. In either of these scenarios, I would be committed to getting your defense ready week in and week out, all season long, and I would wear that responsibility like a badge of honor. And as a final point, I would like to add this. Unlike many of the veteran QBs that have been named in the media, I've never retired or stopped training. My training schedule has remained the same for 6 years, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. training on the field and in the weight room. I've kept this training schedule without failure for the past 6 years in hopes that an opportunity will present itself. I say this to give you some perspective on where I'm at physically. I have also attached a list of my references within the league that will vouch for my character, work ethic, and ability. Thanks so much for your time, Colin Kaepernick. And he was told no. Once again.
Jeez.
We love you, Colin. We're closing out the show honoring you. We're going to talk about this a little more. Hopefully there's some advancements. You've been listening to the Inner Space Fortress. Thank you, Will, for being with us.
Pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. And I suggest you look up his organization, donate to his organization. Know Your Rights Camp. Go check it out. See how amazing the work he's doing is. He's doing big things. Support a brother. Don't leave him hanging. Don't do it. We love you, Colin. You've been listening to the Inner Space Fortress, powered by Roots Reggae Radio. We're spreading positive vibes, no matter what.
Yeah, man, for the reggae music, make it play. Music alone shall live. It's Tidal featuring Anthony B. What you say, Tidal?
Well, I say it's Mr. DJ time is up now. It's Tidal reporting and taking over a microphone session. Reggae music is a lesson and you should never change the progression. Do it, Trey. Rock and come in.
Rock and come in.
We're back on the scene.
Let's see, we back on the scene.
It's been a while and the people them balling. No more quarantine. No more quarantine.